Finding an injured old man asleep on his porch, the cowboy said, "I'll build a room." Jesse Cole had been away from his ranch for nearly 3 weeks. The long cattle drive had taken him through dry plains, rough weather, and sleepless nights. When he finally turned his horse back toward home, all he wanted was peace, water, and silence. His ranch sat far from town, surrounded by open land and a lonely dirt road that few people ever used. As he rode closer, something felt unusual. The wind was calm, but the front porch of his wooden ranch house was not empty like it should have been. From a distance, Jesse noticed something dark lying across the steps. At first, he thought it might be a sack of grain or a fallen bundle left by mistake. But as he came nearer, his eyes narrowed. It was a man. An old man. Jesse quickly jumped off his horse and rushed forward. The man was lying sideways on the wooden porch, half covered in dust. His clothes were worn out, torn in places, and his face showed signs of pain and exhaustion. One arm was pressed against his side as if he had been injured and then forced to keep moving. "Hey," Jesse said firmly, kneeling beside him. "Can you hear me?" The old man did not respond at first. His eyes were half open, cloudy and tired, as if he had been fighting sleep for days. His lips moved slightly, but no clear words came out. Jesse looked around the empty land. There were no footprints leading away, except faint tracks near the road. It looked like the man had arrived alone, or someone had left him there and gone quickly. Jesse gently touched his shoulder. "Stay with me. You're safe here." At that moment, the old man let out a weak breath and tried to speak. They are coming," he whispered, his voice rough and broken. "Who is coming?" Jesse asked, scanning the horizon again. But the old man did not answer. Instead, his hand moved slowly toward his chest pocket. With great effort, he pulled out a small, worn-out locket. It was old, scratched, and clearly valuable to him. He held it tightly, refusing to let go. Jesse noticed bloodstains on the man's shirt. Nothing severe at first glance, but enough to show he had been hurt recently. Jesse made a quick decision. He slid one arm under the man's shoulders and the other under his legs. "I've got you," Jesse said. "We're going inside." Carefully, he carried the man into the house and laid him down on a simple bed near the fireplace. The room was quiet except for the crackling sound of firewood. Jesse fetched water and a clean cloth, then placed them nearby. After a few minutes, the old man began to breathe more steadily. His eyes slowly opened wider, adjusting to the warm light inside the room. He looked around as if trying to understand where he was. "Don't worry," Jesse said in a calm tone. "You're on my ranch. No one will harm you here." The old man studied Jesse's face for a long moment. There was hesitation in his expression, like he had not trusted anyone in a very long time. Finally, he spoke again. "I didn't mean to come here," he said quietly. "This place was just the only place I could reach." Jesse nodded slowly. "You were left on my porch. Do you know who did this to you?" The old man closed his eyes for a moment, as if the question was too heavy. When he opened them again, there was fear hidden deep inside. "I don't remember everything clearly," he said. "But I know one thing. I was followed." Jesse stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the land was still empty. No movement, no sound, only the endless stretch of open country. But something about the old man's words made Jesse uneasy. If someone had followed him here, they could still be nearby. Jesse checked his rifle, which hung on the wall. He was not a man who looked for trouble, but out here, trouble often came uninvited. Behind him, the old man shifted slightly on the bed. His hand still clutched the locket tightly. Jesse turned back and noticed something strange. The locket had a small engraving on it, something he had seen before, maybe on an old map or a sign from a nearby town. It felt familiar, but he could not place it yet. Outside, the wind began to rise slowly, brushing against the wooden walls of the ranch house. And then, from far away, faint but clear, Jesse heard the sound of horses. Approaching. Slowly. Directly toward his ranch. The night had settled over Jesse Cole's ranch, but sleep did not come easily. The sound of distant horses from earlier still lingered in his mind like a warning he could not ignore. Outside, the wind moved slowly across the open land, brushing against the wooden walls of the house. The lantern light inside flickered softly, casting long shadows across the room. On the bed, the old man breathed more steadily now. His face looked calmer than before, but the pain in his body was still clear. Jesse sat nearby, watching him carefully. He did not trust easily, but something about this situation felt different. The man had not asked for help. He had been placed here like something unwanted. Hours passed. The fire burned lower. Jesse kept his rifle close, just in case. At midnight, the old man finally opened his eyes fully. Water, he whispered. Jesse quickly handed him a cup. The man drank slowly, as if even that small action took strength. After a moment, Jesse spoke. You should rest. You're safe here for now. The old man gave a weak nod but did not close his eyes again. Instead, he stared at the ceiling as if lost in thought. My name, he began, then stopped. Jesse waited. My name is Eli Mercer, he finally said. The name meant nothing to Jesse at first, but the way Eli said it carried weight, like it was a name he had not used in a long time. You were found on my porch, Jesse said. Do you remember how you got there? Eli hesitated. His fingers moved slightly, still holding the small locket tightly. I remember running, he said slowly. Through the hills. Through the dark. Someone was behind me. Who? Jesse asked. Eli's face tightened. Men who don't forgive mistakes. That answer made Jesse more alert. He leaned forward slightly. What kind of mistake? But Eli shook his head. Not here. Not yet. There was something in his voice. Fear mixed with guilt. It was clear he had been through something serious, something he still did not want to fully face. Outside, a faint sound broke the silence again. Hoofbeats. Jesse stood up immediately and moved toward the window. The ranch yard was empty, but in the far distance, he could see a faint movement near the edge of the trees. Maybe one rider, maybe more. He stepped back and closed the curtain slowly. Eli noticed his reaction. They found me, he whispered. Who are they? Jesse asked firmly. Eli struggled to sit up. People from a past I tried to leave behind. Jesse stayed quiet for a moment, thinking. He was not a man who liked trouble, but trouble seemed to have found his doorstep anyway. If they're looking for you, Jesse said, they might come here. Eli looked at him. They will. That simple answer made the room feel colder. Jesse walked to the corner of the room and checked the door lock. Then he looked outside again through a small gap in the wall. Nothing was clearly visible, but he trusted his instincts. Someone was out there. Back inside, Eli coughed weakly and leaned back on the bed. I didn't want to bring danger here, he said. I had no choice. Jesse returned to his side. You should have gone to town. A doctor would have been better. Eli gave a faint, tired smile. Town is where they would expect me. This place, no one comes here unless they are lost or hiding. Jesse did not answer immediately. He understood what Eli meant. His ranch was far from everything. That was the reason he liked it. But now, it felt like that isolation might become a problem. After a long silence, Jesse made a decision. I'll help you, he said simply. Eli turned his head slightly. Why? Jesse shrugged. You were left on my porch. That means someone wanted you out of the way. I don't like that. For the first time, Eli looked surprised, maybe even relieved. You don't know what you're stepping into, Eli warned. Jesse crossed his arms. I've dealt with enough trouble to recognize it when I see it. A faint sound came again from outside, this time closer, clearer. Jesse moved to the wall and grabbed his rifle. Eli watched him carefully. They're not just looking for me, he said quietly. They're looking for something I have. Jesse turned back. What is it? Eli did not answer. Instead, he touched the old locket in his hand. Before Jesse could ask more, a sudden noise came from outside the house. A sharp sound, like a horse stopping quickly on dry ground. Jesse moved closer to the window again, carefully this time. Through the darkness, he saw something that made his expression harden. A man on horseback, standing still, watching the ranch. Not alone. The night outside Jesse Cole's ranch had turned colder. The wind moved slowly across the open land, carrying dust and silence together. Inside the wooden house, the fire was now low, only glowing embers giving light. But inside Jesse's mind, there was no peace. He stood near the window, holding his rifle firmly. Through a small gap in the wooden wall, he could still see the rider outside. The man did not move. He just sat on his horse, watching the house like he was waiting for something. Jesse's jaw tightened. That man is not alone, Jesse said quietly. Behind him, Eli Mercer slowly sat up on the bed. His face looked pale, but his eyes were alert now. Fear was still there, but something deeper had replaced it. Understanding. They found me faster than I thought, Eli whispered. Jesse turned slightly. Who are they really? Eli took a long breath, as if the answer carried weight he had avoided for years. They are men who worked for powerful people in the north towns, he said. Bankers, landowners, people who never forgive betrayal. Jesse frowned. Betrayal? Eli looked down at his hands. I used to work for them, long ago. I handled papers, land records, money transfers. I saw things I was not supposed to see. The fire crackled softly in the background. One day, Eli continued, I found proof that land was stolen from poor ranchers. Documents were changed. Money was moved in secret. I tried to report it. He paused. But they found out. Jesse stayed silent, listening carefully. They said I was the one who stole, Eli said bitterly. They turned everything on me. I became the thief in their story. Jesse's grip tightened on his rifle. So you ran. I had to, Eli replied. If I stayed, I would be dead. Outside, the rider finally moved. Slowly, he turned his horse in a circle, as if signaling someone hidden in the dark. Jesse saw it clearly now. There are more coming, Jesse said. Eli closed his eyes for a moment. I didn't want this to reach you. Jesse turned from the window and faced him. You were left on my porch. That means someone wanted you out of the way, or dead. Eli nodded slowly. Both are possible. A heavy silence filled the room. Then Jesse walked to a small wooden table in the corner. He opened a drawer and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. Inside were old ranch tools and papers from when his father owned the land. I don't like trouble, Jesse said. But I don't turn away from it either. Eli looked at him with tired eyes. You should. This is not your fight. Jesse shook his head. It is now. Outside, the sound of horses increased. Not just one anymore. Multiple riders were approaching slowly, spreading out like they were surrounding the ranch. Jesse moved to the door and locked it tightly. Then he checked the windows one by one. Eli tried to stand, but pain forced him back down. You should leave through the back, Eli said quickly. Take your horse. You don't need to stay here. Jesse gave a short, calm look. If I leave you here, they will kill you. Eli did not respond. He knew it was true. Jesse took a deep breath. Tell me one thing. What do they want from you now? Eli reached slowly into his pocket. His hand trembled slightly as he pulled out the old locket again. This time he opened it carefully. Inside was not just a picture. It was a folded piece of paper, old, damaged, but still readable. Jesse stepped closer. What is that? He asked. Eli's voice dropped. Proof. Jesse leaned in and saw faint writing, names, numbers, land records. This can expose everything, Eli said. If this gets out, the people who ruined lives will lose everything. Jesse looked at the paper carefully. And they want to destroy you before that happens. Eli nodded. Yes. At that moment, a loud knock hit the front door. Not soft, not accidental. Intentional. Jesse immediately raised his rifle. Eli's eyes widened. Don't open it. Another knock came, louder this time. A deep voice followed from outside. We know he is inside. Jesse looked at Eli for a brief moment. Then he made a decision. He walked toward the door, slowly, firmly. Outside, the horses stopped moving. The night held its breath, and Jesse Cole placed his hand on the door handle. The night around Jesse Cole's ranch felt heavier than before. The wind had stopped, and even the sound of insects seemed gone. It was as if the whole land was waiting for what would happen next. Jesse stood in front of the closed door, his hand resting on the wooden handle. Outside, the horses were still. The men who had followed Eli Mercer were waiting in silence, like hunters who already believed their prey had no escape. Inside the room, Eli sat on the bed, holding the old locket tightly. His breathing was uneven, but his eyes were fixed on Jesse. Don't open it, Eli said again, his voice low. They will not leave you alive if you do. Jesse did not answer immediately. He looked at the door, then at the small house around him. This ranch had always been his safe place. A place away from trouble. But now, trouble had come to him. Slowly, Jesse stepped back from the door. Then he spoke clearly. You didn't end up on my porch by accident, he said. Someone wanted you found. That means someone also wants the truth to come out. Eli watched him carefully. Truth does not matter to men like them. Jesse shook his head. It does. It just depends on who is strong enough to bring it out. Outside, the voice came again, louder this time. Last warning, give him up. Jesse walked toward the window instead of the door. He pulled the curtain slightly and saw them clearly now. 3 riders, armed, waiting near the edge of the yard. One of them held a lantern, its light shaking in the windless night. Jesse's jaw tightened. He turned back into the room. Eli, he said calmly. Can you stand? Eli hesitated. Why? Because we are not going to give them what they want, Jesse replied. With effort, Eli stood up, holding onto the bed for support. Pain crossed his face, but he stayed upright. Jesse walked to a corner of the room where he had been working quietly for the past day. Wood, nails, and simple tools were placed there. He had already started building something small near the back wall of the house. Eli noticed it. "What is that?" he asked weakly. Jesse looked at him. "A room." Eli frowned. "A room?" "Yes," Jesse said. "A hidden room behind the house. I started it before I knew who you were. Now I'm finishing it." Eli looked confused. "Why would you do that for me?" Jesse paused for a moment. "Because sometimes a man shows up at your door and you don't ask why first. You just decide if you will help him or not." Outside, footsteps moved closer. Jesse quickly worked with steady hands, pulling a wooden panel aside. Behind it was a small space, just enough for one person to hide. "Go inside," Jesse said. Eli hesitated. "They will find me anyway." "Not if I buy you time," Jesse replied. A loud bang hit the front door again, this time stronger. Splinters fell from the wood. Jesse turned to Eli. "Now." Eli nodded slowly and moved into the hidden space behind the wall. Jesse closed it carefully, leaving only a small gap for air. Then he turned toward the front door. The knocking stopped. Silence followed. Then suddenly, crash! The front door was forced open. Two men stepped inside first, weapons ready. Behind them, the third man entered slowly, looking around the room carefully. Jesse stood in the center, his rifle lowered but ready. "Evening," Jesse said calmly. The leader of the group stared at him. "Where is Eli Mercer?" Jesse did not move. "Not here." The man stepped forward. "We saw him come here. Don't waste our time." Jesse looked him directly in the eyes. "This is my land. You don't come in here and take people." A tense silence filled the room. Then the man smiled slightly. "You don't understand what he did." "I understand enough," Jesse replied. Inside the hidden space, Eli held his breath. The leader raised his weapon slightly. "Step aside, cowboy." Jesse did not move. Instead, he slowly shifted his stance, blocking the view of the hidden wall behind him. "You want him," Jesse said. "You go through me." The moment froze. Outside, the wind began to move again, brushing against the broken door. Then, from somewhere far behind the house, another sound came. Horse hooves. But this time, it was not just one rider. It was many. The men inside the house looked at each other for a brief second. Jesse tightened his grip on his rifle. And from behind the walls, Eli whispered softly, "It's not over." Because now, the truth was finally waking up.